Hello and happy Sunday. This is Kelly with IfYouHaveAnEgg.com, and today is Sunday, March the 23rd. Almost done with March. Gosh, time goes so fast. But hello and happy Sunday, everybody. This is chat number 407. So this is your 407th Weight Watchers virtual workshop brought to you by If You Have an Egg. So happy to be here. So happy that the weather was cooperative today here in East Tennessee. I did not get to walk outside today. Unfortunately, I had to go to a funeral, but that is okay because I also got to do something else pretty darn fun today. But hello everybody. Please go ahead and say your hellos. Hello Elaine, because I would love to welcome everybody. If you're brand new, please let us know because we would love to welcome you and make you feel like part of our group. Hello Mary from Pittsburgh. It's always lovely to welcome new people. But hello everyone. I think we can officially say that spring has sprung here in East Tennessee. We're still having a little bit of chilly weather, you know, a little bit of nippy weather, but I think we're probably about 2 weeks away from putting the, away from putting the propane up. I was just getting ready to say, John says we're about 2 weeks away from being able to cut off the propane, and he just said hello from a warm home base, so that must mean he's got the propane cranked up in there while I am not home. And greetings, Sarah from Raleigh, Massachusetts. Very good to see you. But hello everyone. Yeah, so it's looking like spring is here. Hello Lena. The little peepers are chirping here. If you don't know what peepers are, they're just those little tiny green frogs. I guess they're green frogs that appear in bodies of water and say, hey, peep, 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 peep. Spring is on its way. Crocus are coming up here. Daffodils. The Dogwood Arch Trail is getting ready to open. They've painted all the pink spots. Anyway, just seeing lots of signs of spring. Oh my goodness. John, you're going to wait till Melissa gets here before you can start saying that. Who did I miss? Let's see. Hello, Hattie. Hello, Mary Ann. Hello, Sherry from Cape Coral, Florida. Hello, Carol Lou. Hello, Ann. So, Ann's all orange and white today. Does that mean the Vols did something? I don't know. It's not my season for Vol fanaticism, but maybe we did something good today. Hello, Sandra from Ningman's Ferry, and hello, Anna. Hello, Trish from California. Good to see you. Oh, yuck. Sarah has a mix of rain and snow tomorrow. Not good. And Melissa, when you pop on, John has 2 yards mowed today, and in his yard mowing frenzy, he had to leave Alyssa babysitting her sister Bo. Alyssa is 7. Bo is 3, so he left them a phone so that they could call if they needed help, or that he could call and check on them. I mean, he could see them. He didn't just like leave them completely alone. And Alyssa figured out how to FaceTime me. So she FaceTimed me 3 times while I was trying to get ready for the chat. Anywho, hello and happy Sunday, everybody. It is Sunday, March the 23rd. And hello, Kim. Hello, Sandra from Naperville. And this is your Weight Watchers virtual workshop number 407. It is titled Set a Goal Your Future Self Can Do. Yeah, so we're going to be setting a little goal tonight here when we get towards the end of the first half. I already said this, but just in case you're just now popping on, if you are brand new, we would love to welcome you. So just say hello. Just let us know. And hello, Caroline from New Jersey. This is the end of spring break week here in Knoxville for most of the schools here in Knoxville. And again, those little pink stripes, they're not little, they're kind of big pink wedges, are spray painted on the streets here. So we are getting ready for spring. I hope you all are getting ready for spring. We're going to be talking about some fun stuff in the second half tonight. But to get started, this is, again, workshop number 407. So you have 406 other workshops to go back and watch on YouTube, and that is just youtube.com. Search If You Have an Egg in case you haven't seen them. And we also have over in our If You Have an Egg Facebook group, and that one of our lovely ladies will or not John, but one of our lovely ladies will post the link to that later, I am sure. And Carolyn, thank you very much. This is a hand-me-down, but because spring has sprung, this was so light and airy today. Sorry, check out the sleeves. So light and airy today that I wanted to wear it. And hold on, we've got some news here. Carol Lou hit her goal of 50 pounds. Woo! She hit that goal this weekend. Fantastic. And on to her next goal. We're going to talk about goal setting here in just a little bit. And Trish says her 3 grandkids are on spring break. Oh, they do year-round school, and they have 2 weeks. Great. Couldn't take 2 weeks. Just 1 week at a time is good enough for me. So over in the If You Have an Egg Facebook group, our fearless leader, Julie, is hosting our focus, and the focus is set a goal that your future self can do. Oh, whoops. Hello, Katie, and hello, Dalton from Humble, Texas. So cute. Humble. Is Humble the name of the city? And if you have a Dollar General, John probably knows where you are. So we will be chatting about that this week over in the If You Have an Egg Facebook group. Julie will have us chatting about setting some of those goals that our future self can do. And it's funny, she made a comment today. She said, when she was thinking about, setting a goal that her future self could do, she was thinking future like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And then she thought, wait a minute, tomorrow is the future. So maybe it's setting a goal that your future self, as in tomorrow, could do, or next week. It doesn't have to be 5, 10, 15 years from now. So that was a good one, Julie. And I hope you all will join us over there in the If You Have an Egg Facebook group for that chatter. That's going to be some really good ones, because we all have different goals. This is not just necessarily about a big weight loss goal, even though Carol Lou had a great one this week. So we're going to have a lot of good chatter over there. I do have a public service egg announcement this week that was horrifying to me. So I recently tried a new to me, so this is our public service egg announcement of the week. I recently tried a new to me protein bar called No Cow, thinking, hey, it'll be great for a pre-workout protein. Casey and I both recently just joined a gym called National Fitness that is down the street here from work. So Casey drives by it twice a day, every day, taking the girls to and from school. It's literally down the street from where I work. And I needed some kind, because it's been 5 years since Casey and I have been to a gym. I needed something that was going to be kind of a pre-workout, low point protein bar. I'm really kind of tired of the protein bars that I had been eating, and I didn't really want to spend 6 points, on a pre-workout protein bar, because then that kind of negates the point of the workout. So I found No Cow, and I thought, great, it'll be a pre-workout protein bar. It was low points, dairy-free, and I thought, sure, why not? Unfortunately, I am not using this spot as a great product review. So I think you all know me well enough to know if I like something, I'll tell you I like it. If I love something, I will tell you I love it. And if I don't like it, I will also be honest and let you know that I don't like it. And hello, Barbara from Bonao, South Carolina. So I'm not giving this a great product review. I'm also giving you a warning, as evidenced by the public service egg announcement. So I was starving when I ate the first one. Calm down. You can tell the weather's nice because people are out in their convertibles and motorcycles and things. Okay, so I was starving when I ate the first one, so I ate it. I only ate it because I was starving and it was low points. It was dry, so dry. Like, you can tell no cows were harmed in the making of this bar. It was so very dry. It was so heavy. Like, just heavy. It was just not good at all. And the next morning, I thought, okay. I'm going to give this another try. I'm going to drink a cup of coffee with it. It'll be good. It'll be better. No. Tried is the operative word. I couldn't even gag down the dry, heavy. I just couldn't gag it down. So I threw half of it away. I managed to get half of it down with that cup of coffee. Aloha, Kathy. But I threw the other half of it away. So here comes the egg announcement, though. I had serious gastric distress after eating one day and a half of one the next morning. And hello, Lynn. I felt like I had a brick in my stomach. It was awful. It felt like I had just mixed up some mortar or something. It was that dry and just had a brick in my stomach. So I did a little research and I found out that one of the ingredients in No Cow bars is soluble corn fiber. Hello, Melvie. And that some people do have gastric issues after eating that. I went a little too far and checked out a couple of other people's reviews. I looked at Healthline.com. Healthline.com listed some potential ups and downs. One of them being that it's in highly, the soluble cornstarch is added in highly processed foods. So unfortunately, these No Cow bars looks like they are highly processed, even though they're touted as somehow being better for you. I don't really think that they are once you get down to the, you know, nuts and bolts of it. And it's genetically modified corn. So I wasn't happy about that either. But the fact that it's highly processed, my advice, it was awful. Like, I don't think any other flavor would have been any better. It was awful. Save your money, save your tummy. Just in case you're one of those people that's going to have some gastric issues from that. Yeah, it was not good. Not good. Okay, that was your public service egg announcement for this week. Next is our Good Egg Award. This week's Good Egg Award goes to Chris Gomez, who is not even part of our group. So why Chris Gomez? Why does Chris Gomez get the Good Egg Award? I will tell you, he was on his way home from Raleigh, North Carolina, driving back to Waco, Texas, with his little honey, Deanna Gomez, and he was super willing to make a detour driving, and it was like a day and a half trip, but driving back from Raleigh, North Carolina, sort of kind of past here, but not really, not really. They could have just kept trucking it west and gone straight on to Nashville and saved some time. But instead, Chris was willing to get off the interstate and bring Deanna here to me, here at the showroom, so that Deanna and I could finally meet each other, spend just a little bit of time together. We were able to squeeze in about 30-40 minutes before her kids started calling and saying, hey, we're headed to Rainforest Cafe. Y'all got to get going, so that they couldn't stay much longer than that. But it was so nice of Chris to take this detour and bring Deanna by so that we could finally meet each other. So awesome. I was so happy for the little diversion. Thank you, Chris and Deanna. It was so very nice to meet you. I know that you will not be here live for tonight's chat because y'all are making your way back to Texas, but it was so nice to meet you. And Chris, you are a good egg for driving your honey by here. Yeah, congratulations and thank you very much. So thank you very much for your service driving her by. And let's see, hello, Catherine from Lowell, North Carolina. So you are a good egg, Chris. You are a good egg. So sometimes it's the little things. You don't have to do anything fantastic, like way out, you know, in whatever to get the Good Egg Award. You can do something as simple as take a detour and bring your wife by to see me. That's all you got to do. Okay, so this week's topic, though, we are talking about set a goal that your future self can do. I just have a question. If you've ever tried to climb a ladder, so whether you were trying to climb up on your roof to do Christmas lights, or if you had to climb a ladder to get a cat out of a tree, or for whatever reason that you were climbing a ladder, you already know that you can't go from the first rung to the top. You can't do that in one step. So it's impossible. So it isn't impossible because you're slow. It isn't impossible because you're short. It isn't impossible because you're a girl. It isn't impossible for whatever reason you might make up, you know, to say to yourself, well, I can't go from the first rung of this ladder to the top of this ladder because I'm 57 years old. Whatever that reason is, you just can't get. You can't do it. You cannot get from the first rung of a ladder to the last rung of a ladder in one giant step. It's not going to happen. So, did you know that the number one reason that people fail at their goals, if your goal was to get from the first rung to the last rung, the number one reason people fail at a goal like that is because it isn't because they didn't try, it isn't because they weren't good enough, it isn't because they weren't tall enough, it isn't because they weren't young enough, or even because they just gave up and just walked off. That's not the number one reason. The number one reason that people fail when they're trying to get from point A to point B in a goal like that is because they get overwhelmed and then they get discouraged. So if you can just think for a second in that ladder analogy, if you were on the first rung and you thought, I have to get all the way up there in one try, you would get discouraged. You get overwhelmed because you think, I can't do that. How could I possibly make it up that far in one step? So you would get overwhelmed and then you would get discouraged and then you would give up. So that's the number one reason that people give up in a situation like that. And I did find a cute little graphic that Casey will be posting when she posts this chat. Let me show you this one. So it's a cute little so it shows this little guy on his little steps, and it says this way to accomplish your goals. Bloop, 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 bloop. So the little steps, one small step at a time to success. So you see, this little stick man didn't try to go from step one to the top step in one jump. Little steps. Okay, so let's talk about those little steps. Is there a goal in the past? So have you set a goal for yourself at some point in the past? And the past might be yesterday, it might be last year, it might be 10 years ago. Have you ever set a goal for yourself, and it doesn't have to be even be weight related, that you feel like you failed to reach it? So you set some goal, and whether it was little or big, lofty or not, have you ever set a goal for yourself and then feel like you failed to reach that goal? I'll give you all just a second. I'm going to grab a sip of water real quick while y'all think about that. So what's a goal that you've set for yourself in the past that you feel like you failed to reach it? And I need one before I can move on, because somebody giving me an example of a goal is actually going to help me with the next step. So what's one goal that somebody feels like they set for themselves in the past and they feel like they failed to reach that goal? And remember, it doesn't even have to be weight related. Somebody. And I know y'all are a couple of seconds behind me, so I'll give you just another. Okay, Sarah says more exercise. So how much more exercise, Sarah? That actually will help. So, okay, Ann says to maintain weight loss. Okay, these are some good ones. Okay, Ann, you're gonna cheat because you were with us Tuesday night when Gwen was talking about this. But Sarah, let's just use more exercise. Okay, so we're gonna break that down into some tiny steps. How we could break that down into some smaller goals that would help you with that. One thing that we could break it down into is what's more. So one thing we could do is to set a goal of a number, like put a number on more. Okay, Sarah says any at all to do better all around. John says a ponytail at 59. Honey, no. Okay, so you can tell he's feeling sassy because he got 2 yards mowed today. And Carol Lou says more reading. So, okay, in those examples, let's break it down a little bit. So one little goal that we could set is the number. So like, what number is it going to be? So let's say, Sarah, I don't know what kind of exercise you're talking about, and I don't know what you've been doing, but let's just pretend that Sarah's friend, let's name her Susan. Let's say that Sarah's friend Susan has been walking 1,000 steps a day, and she wants to be at 10,000 steps. She wants to have a 10,000. She wants 10,000 to be her step goal, because that's the only time that her Fitbit or her fitness band is going to do fireworks. So let's say, because Deanna and I actually had that conversation today, that if you've been walking 1,000 steps a day and suddenly you get a fitness device and your fitness device says, it's 10,000 or nothing, trying to go from 1,000 steps a day to 10,000 steps a day, not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You just can't get from there to there in one step. So the point of tonight's chat is to break it down into some smaller steps. So let's say that Sarah's friend Susan, her fictitious friend Susan, is bye Sherry, we'll see you in a little after a while. Ooh, Sherry's making salmon. We may be heading down to your house here soon. So let's say that Sarah's fictitious friend Susan needs to be able to she wants more. So first question is, how much is more? And Sarah's friend Susan says, oh, well, I got this new fitness device and it says 10,000 steps or nothing. So first we have to take that back a notch and say, okay, what would be realistic? And Sarah's friend Susan says, I think I could walk 2,000. I think I could walk 2,000 steps a day with no problem. It wouldn't hurt my knees. I've got, I think I would feel good doing that. So we're going to take Sarah's friend Susan's fitness device and we're going to reset her daily goal to 2,000, not 10,000, not here to here. We're going to reset it to 2,000. And then what's something else that we could do? Maybe we could say, okay, how about 3 days a week? Sarah, could your fictitious friend Susan, could she do 3 days a week? That might be doable. Would mornings be better? Would afternoons be better? Does she have the right equipment? You know, there's a whole lot of little mini goals that you can have in there to get from here to here. And then maybe here in a couple of months, she could go to 3,000, and then maybe in a couple of months, 4,000. I have to say, if walking is your thing, the weather getting nicer outside has to be helping with that. It sure is helping us with that. But we're going to pick a goal, and we're going to break it down into some teeny tiny micro goals. So these are going to be teeny tiny steps. So remember this little guy, he's going up steps, up steps, up steps. We're going to take it down even smaller than that, and we're going to say, okay, he's got to get to here, to here, to here, to here. So we're going to turn these into some teeny tiny steps that you don't even, things that you might not even think about that you have to do, to lead up to that, you know, even that next goal. So teeny tiny steps are things that are going to happen in order for you to A, avoid getting overwhelmed, and B, stay encouraged so that you will reach your ultimate goal. So in this example, let's say like you think you've failed at tracking. So that was me. So we're going to use me as this example. So I really, even though I talk to you all about tracking all the time, I've been talking about tracking for what, almost 30 years, some form of tracking for almost 30 years. I was always good for about a week at a time. I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to track every meal every day. And whether it was paper tracking, whether it was filling in little dots and handing it back into your leader, whatever it was that we were doing at that time, whatever the tracking method was at that time, tracking on our phones, whatever it was, I would always start the goal with, I'm going to track every meal every day. Okay, so y'all see what I was doing to myself, right? I was going from the first rung to the last rung, or trying to, in one giant step. I was going to go from not tracking to tracking everything all day, every day, and that wasn't going to happen. Okay, so I was good for about a week at a time. I would track everything for about a week, and then guess what? I would quit. Do you want to guess why? I would quit because I felt overwhelmed, and then I would get discouraged. Just like we just said, that's the number one reason people quit. So I am, as of today, I'm officially at day 142 tracking. And do you know how I started? I started with day 1. I didn't tell myself this time, I'm going to track everything all day, blah, blah, blah. For the rest of my life, I said, I'm going to track one day. And then I tracked a second day. But I didn't say I'm going to track 142 days. If I had told myself 142 days ago, I'm going to track for 142 days, I would have gotten overwhelmed and discouraged a long time ago. So here's how I broke it down into some teeny tiny steps. And I promise, no matter what it is, you can do this too. So I think Carol said she wanted to read some more. Sarah's talking about exercise. It looks like a bunch of y'all are talking about exercise. So here are my teeny tiny steps, and I promise they are relevant even if tracking is not the topic. So when I say teeny tiny, step 1 was to make sure that my app was up to date, because we are currently tracking on the Weight Watchers app. So I had to make sure that mine was the most up to date and that it had as many of the macros as would show, even though those weren't the big picture. It made it a little more fun. So I made sure my app was up to date. And you're thinking, okay, well, how did making sure your app was up to date get you from day 1 to day 142? I needed it. I needed to know that everything was up to date. The second thing I did was I switched my app back from living with diabetes back to normal, because I'm not living with diabetes, and I thought it would help me to track the fruit, but it really just kind of confused me. So I know that I do better when I, kind of keep control, kind of keep a little, not control, but when I keep my eyes open on how much fruit I'm eating. So I changed my app back. So from living with diabetes, I set it back to normal. That helped me to be able to track more because the fruit wasn't showing as points. Don't ask why. It was just messing with my brain. Even though I thought I wanted to see it, it was messing with my brain. So that was another teeny tiny step that I had to take to be able to get from 1 to 142. The next teeny tiny step, I had to decide which meal I was going to start with. So what day it was going to be and which meal it was going to be. And I chose breakfast because breakfast is the easiest one for me to control. So check. So right there, check, check, check. I had checked off 3 little teeny tiny mini goals off of my big goal. So I had taken 3 little steps up. I had taken it 3 little steps up on the rungs on that ladder instead of just going, trying to reach the top and not being able to make it. Next step, I made sure that I had what I needed for that meal, which sounds silly, but how was I going to get to that next little step if I didn't have what I needed for that breakfast? So I had to go to the grocery store. I had to decide what it was going to be. I had to go to the grocery store, and I had to make sure I had the things for that meal, or this wasn't going to work. The next thing I do, next little mini step I did, I tracked the meal before I ate it, because I knew if I ate it, I was going to be in a hurry, and I was going to be, running. So I tracked it before I ate it. Another little thing checked off my list. I ate the meal. I'm counting that as a step. Actually eating the meal, because I already tracked it, I counted that as a step. Then I liked the meal, so I went ahead and used the create meal feature, which is an extra step in the app, but I thought, I like this one. So it was yogurt, fruit, and a little bit of granola, and some black coffee, and it ended up being a 3-point breakfast, which was good, and it had a lot of protein. And I added it as, I did a create a meal, and I added it as yogurt breakfast. But the next morning, instead of trying to go back and figure out where I had saved my yogurt breakfast meal, I noticed, the app says same as yesterday. And when it popped up same as yesterday, it listed my yogurt, my granola, my fruit, and my black coffee. It was all listed right there. So I just said, yep, dink, and hit the plus sign. How much easier could that have been? Another thing checked off of my list, and so on, and so on, and so forth. And now, 142 days later, I'm tracking everything that I put in my mouth. Doesn't matter what it is. It's so much easier because I didn't try to go from day 1 to day 142 at the same time. If I don't get something tracked, I've tracked something, but I'm tracking every single day, something every single day, and it's most meals every single day. And that's how you get from 1 to 142 and 143 and 144 and on and on and on. So those little tiny micro steps. So Carol Lou, who wanted to start reading, maybe Carol Lou needs to figure out what book she wants to read, or what is it she wants to read. Is it a book? Is it a magazine? Is it something smaller? Is it a news article? What is it? And then how much time does she have a day? Does she have 5 minutes? Does she have 10 minutes? What time of day is it going to be? Where is she going to read? What's it going to be? Where is she going to read? How long is she going to spend on it? Blah, blah, blah. But those little teeny tiny micro steps to get you to that bigger goal. And before long, you'll be doing it. You'll be doing it. And it'll just be like putting on your seatbelt. When you get in your car, you open the car door. You don't think about it. You sit down. You don't think about it. You don't think, oh, I need to sit down now. And most of us automatically just reach back and click, and you don't think, I opened my car door, I sat down, now I need to reach for my seatbelt. It's just automatic. Okay, so I've squirmed us out of time to be able to, for anybody to set a STAR goal verbally. Please do though. Please do though, and thank you very much, Sarah. So a STAR goal is exactly what we're talking about. It's something specific. So it would be specific, like, walking 2,000 steps a day, 3 days a week. That would be a very specific goal. Truly doable in a week's time. Like, can you get it done? Is it something that you could get done in a week's time? And if not, step it back a little bit. Would you've done it. You've actually done it. It's actionable, meaning you're going to do something instead of not do something. And is it relevant to your journey? All of it is. It's all relevant to your journey. Okay, and Sandra is like, drink water, Kelly, drink water, drink your water. Okay, that's the end of the first half of tonight's chat. We are doing a little experiment in the second half from my friend Sabrina at our Tuesday night meetings. And Sabrina, I'm confident, did not think that I was really going to do this, because when I said, you never know, you might be part of the topic for this week's chat, she was like, yeah, I don't think she thought I was serious. I'm serious, Sabrina. So everybody grab you some water here at the end of the first half. If you are new with us, these chats are 1 hour long. The first half, we discuss what the Weight Watchers topic was for the prior week. No, I'm sorry, not for the prior week. Yeah, for the prior week, which was being able to set goals that your future self can do. And thank you, Sandra. But that was the topic for this last week, was setting goals that your future self can do. And remember, Julie had an epiphany over in the If You Have an Egg Facebook group that your future self doesn't necessarily mean, sorry, I thought I would wear this one because I thought the orange would go nice with this shirt. But your future self doesn't have to be in years. It doesn't have to be in a year, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. Your future self might be tomorrow. Or it might be next week, or it might be before next week's chat, or whatever. Okay, I am going to put my hair up because I will be sharing what I am making with the rest of the family to see what they think, and if they turn out well, maybe, might, possibly, maybe, make them for our Tuesday night group. Okay, so Sabrina, this is the second half of chat number 407, setting goals that your future self will do. Marianne says she wants to walk 2.5 miles 3 times a week. I think you can do it. So Marianne, before I go on, what's one little tiny step that you could take in order to make that happen? Like maybe get your shoes out, or maybe figure out where you're going to walk, or yeah, you just shout it out. Okay, so Sabrina, who is in our Tuesday night group in Powell, at the end of last week's meeting, she started talking about some little cookies that her husband had found a recipe for on Pinterest or Instagram or something. I don't know where he found them. And she rattled off some of the ingredients, but she wasn't exactly sure of the recipe. She wasn't exactly sure where he found it. She just knows that they have been making them and eating them, and that it has helped her to kind of stave off that, I've got to have cookies, kind of a feeling. The ingredients for these cookies are better for you than many commercially prepared cookies that you could purchase, because they do not contain any flour, and they don't really contain any added sugar. They don't contain eggs. They don't contain, let's see, what else would be in there? So no flour, no milk, no eggs, and no added sugar. Okay, they're not low points. I will say that. They are lower-ish points, but they are not low points. So I took the list of ingredients that she gave us last week during the meeting, and I looked on the Weight Watchers app, and I did not find exactly what she was talking about. So I did not find the exact recipe that she was talking about already on the Weight Watchers app. So I typed in that list of ingredients, and I will tell you what it is in a second, but I typed in just the list of ingredients just into a Google search bar and let it bring up some recipes. And I searched and looked together. Okay, so I'm sorry, Marianne's little tiny goal is to get her things together. Perfect. Because you can't walk 2.5 miles if you don't have your things together. Perfect. So Marianne, you can already check that one off your list. Okay, so I typed in that list of ingredients, let Google find some recipes for me, and narrowed it down. So in my goal of wanting the recipe that Sabrina was talking about and eating the recipe that Sabrina was talking about, there were a lot of little steps in there. So step 1 was getting her to give me the list of ingredients. Little tiny step 2, we're going to turn this into a star goal for tonight. So little step 2 was finding an appropriate recipe. Step 3 was making sure that appropriate recipe was low enough in points that I was willing to make it. Step 4 was getting it into the app so that I could check the points. So for that one, all I did was once I found a recipe, and I promise I am going to tell you all the list of ingredients here in a second. When I found a couple of recipes that looked like they would be appropriate, I found them on my iPad and just copy the link. So you go to, remember, it's got to be a recipe that's a .com. So it has to be like one of them was on, let me find it here. didn't print out the website. Hold please. Okay, one of these was on powerhungry.com. So from powerhungry.com, when I found the recipe that I thought I was looking for, I just copied the recipe. I copied the link for the recipe, and then under recipes, you go to the plus sign and you do add recipe from the web. So I added a recipe from the web. The first one that I tried was going to be 5 points per serving, and I was like, nope, that's not it. The second one I looked up was still 4 points per serving, and I was like, nope, still not it. The next one I looked up was a flourless peanut butter and banana cookie, 3 points per serving. And then I found another one that was a chocolate chip peanut butter banana oat bars. It only had 4 ingredients, and it was 2 points per serving. Okay, so what I had typed in here, the keywords that I had typed into my search engine was peanut butter, oats, let me think, peanut butter, oats, banana, and chocolate chips. So that was what I typed in, found several different kinds of recipes. One was a cookie, one was bars, a couple of them were bars, a couple of them were cookies, a couple of them were muffins, but I narrowed it down to 2. I did add them using the add recipe from the web feature that we've talked about a couple of times anyway on previous chats. So we're gonna make this. Okay, so thank you, Sabrina. I have located 2 of these recipes. Again, one is the ones we're gonna make tonight, and hello Noreen from Long Island, New York, is flourless peanut butter and banana cookies, and the other one is chocolate chip peanut butter banana oat bars. I did have to make the chocolate chip peanut butter banana oat bars. And I'll include those links when Casey gets this chat ready to post on IfYouHaveAnEgg.com. I'll include the links for these two recipes, but I will also include the link where I have imported it into my Weight Watchers app so that you can just suck it straight into your app instead of having to find it, import the recipe, blah, blah, blah. You'll just be able to suck it right in. Okay, I did have to go ahead and make the chocolate chip peanut butter banana oat bars. I had to pre-make that one before the chat because her instructions are cool in the pan for 45 minutes to an hour before cutting into 16 bars. And it says on the website that is the hardest part of this recipe, is letting them sit for 45 minutes to an hour. Okay. Yeah. So we'll look at that one. I had to go ahead and pre-make it. We are going to make together the flourless peanut butter and banana cookies. Okay. So for this, and you will excuse my already dirty mixing cup, that's from where I made the other recipe. So we are going to use 1.5 very ripe bananas, and I think you all will agree these are some very ripe bananas. So we're going to put 1.5 very ripe bananas. You could put them into a bowl. You could put them into a shallow bowl. I'm just putting them straight into this mixing cup. And we're going to mix all the ingredients together. I'm breaking it apart so that it's not so hard to mash up, but these are so very ripe. And then I forgot and left them in my car for a little while, so they were warm, very ripe bananas for a little bit, which I think made them more soft and more ripe. Okay, but the little pieces will make it easier to blend. So both of these recipes said to take a fork or a potato masher and mash the bananas very well. Let's see, actually it says, one says in a medium-sized bowl, mash the bananas with a fork until lumpy smooth, and the other one says to combine the banana and the peanut butter until smooth. Okay, so we're gonna mash up the banana until lumpy smooth because we're making the cookies this time. It was still a little lumpy smooth, you know, for the first one. So lumpy smooth, okay? And then it wants us to add, this one has the addition of maple syrup and salt. So the flourless peanut butter and banana cookies has a couple more ingredients than the bars, and she is serious about you adding the salt. There was no salt in the ones that were made into bars. There is salt into the cookies. So that was the banana part. And then it's a 1/2 cup of peanut butter. I am using John's creamy Peter Pan just so that I can keep it as close to her recipe as I can. But I did find some Jif no sugar added today at the grocery store, which is, I think, 2 points less than this. So if this works out well, next round I will try it with the no sugar added Jif. And I just realized I got my fork dirty. Hold please. Okay, so we're gonna do a half of a cup of just regular Jif. Sorry, John, we're using some of your peanut butter that you needed. But, you know, you got to take one for the team. You didn't have to drive me to a destination in between Raleigh and Waco, so you're just going to have to take one for the team and let me have part of your peanut butter. Okay, so remember, here, quick pro tip while we're doing this. When you're measuring your peanut butter and you smooth that off, see how I smoothed that off with my knife? Now you don't get to go and lick that, okay? No, that has to go back into the jar. You can't lick what you just scraped off after you measure it. Okay, you can, but then you got to count it. So now we're going to put a half of a cup of peanut butter in here with the banana. Okay, and in this recipe, then we have, so we've got that, then we have 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, and I can approximate 2 tablespoons without dragging that out. And of course mine is sugar-free maple syrup, so let's see. Yeah, I know, John, one less sandwich for the week. Sorry. Okay, and then we need, where'd it go? 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, and she was really serious about the salt. So we are going to do the 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt and a half of a cup of chocolate chips. Okay, now this is the only other area where I strayed. So I went ahead and got Lily's, so mine will automatically be a little less points, but we're going to do a half of a cup of chocolate chips. And I'm sorry, it was a... I'm missing a little bit of my peanut butter. I just realized I just shortchanged myself on the peanut butter, so we get to put a little more peanut butter in here. Okay, so it is a half a cup of chocolate chips, which seems like a lot of chocolate chips. And we get a little more peanut butter because I only put 1/3 of a cup in there, and it clearly calls for a half of a cup. So let's put a little bit more, so we need about that much more, about this much more to make it a half of a cup, which I'm super pumped that we get to put some more peanut butter in here. John will not be, because that's 1.5, that's way more than one sandwich, John. That's like 3 sandwiches. That's like 3 sandwiches you're not going to get to have this week. Okay. So there we go with that. And then we're going to mix all of these kind of wet ingredients together, and then we are going to add our oats. So both ingredients called for rolled oats or quick oats. I'm going to use old-fashioned rolled oats. So mine are probably not going to rise. I don't think these would have risen anyway. I did see one recipe that had like some baking powder in it. Okay, and we're going to do 2 cups of quick oats, or 2 cups of oats. So remember, I've got the old-fashioned oats. It's going to be fine. It'll be totally fine. Okay. Oops, that one was a little under. Okay, here we go with that. And we're going to get all that mixed together. Sarah says, no fun if we can't do that. Okay, so we're going to get all of that mixed together really well. So we've got oats, and we've got chocolate chips, and we've got peanut butter, and this one has maple syrup. and just a teeny tiny bit of salt and some ripe bananas. And as soon as I get this one in to cook, then we will check out the other one and see how it tastes. So this is the one that's going to make cookies. And it says to drop these by heaping teaspoons onto a cookie sheet or a baking stone, flattening slightly with the back of the spoon. Okay, so I don't have an oven. I'm just going to taste the batter since there's no eggs in it. So since we don't have an oven, we are going to be using the air fryer. I did find an air fryer, a chart that tells you, like, if you're going from an oven to an air fryer, what the difference should be in the temperature and in the time. So in an oven, this one is going to be 350 for 15 minutes. The air fryer calculator that I looked up said the equivalent of that was 325 for 12 minutes. My air fryer doesn't do 25, it does 320. So we're going to do 320. We'll just make 4 of them right now. So we're going to do 320 for just about the entire rest of our time. So 320 for 12 minutes. Okay, so they're flattened out like that. I'm going to get them in the air fryer. Okay, 320 for 12 minutes. I got to tell you, the fact that it says to put them out in teaspoonfuls already has me, I don't know, questioning this. The oven option, Sarah wants to know, it's 350 for 15. This is going to make, let's see how many this will make. 20 cookies. This is going to make 20 cookies. It's 3 points per cookie. 3 points? Did you see how big they are? Sabrina, honey, how many of these have you been eating? They're only this big. So I don't know, maybe. Here though is the chocolate chip peanut butter banana oat bars. Here's how they turned out. So again, I cooked them in the air fryer instead of cooking them in the oven. These are mashed bananas, so very ripe, which I think you'll agree mine were very ripe. Very ripe mashed banana. This other recipe was 1/4 cup of peanut butter, 1.5 cups of rolled oats, and 1/3 cup of chocolate chips. The only problem I have with the other one is it's 16 servings, and I know, Sarah, I think so too. So Sarah says that's high for a cookie. I think so too. So Sabrina wanted me to try these, so we're trying them, but I'm thinking that the girls are going to get most of these, unless these are just like the best thing that I've ever eaten in my life. And obviously I'm already thinking about ways to lighten it up. The Lily's is going to take the points down just a little bit. I think using the Jif, it's going to take it down just a tiny bit. It's not going to take it down less than 1 to 2 points. So I don't know. These are going to have to be, pretty fantastic. But in the chocolate chip peanut butter banana oat bars recipe, again, it's banana, not quite as much peanut butter, the rolled oats, and not quite as many chocolate chips. It makes 16 servings instead of 20 servings. I had to make them round and then cut it into like pizza slices because it is round, because they were round, and the recipe called for an 8x8 pan. Those also were to be cooked on 350 for 350 for 14 to 17 minutes in the pan. You pressed them down in there really tightly. Lynn says she makes almost the same as the energy balls that she makes for her son that has MS, and they're no cook. These could totally be, I think these could totally be no cook. Yeah, like if you put them in the refrigerator, they probably would be. But dividing this up into 16 makes this little, because I did it in a round pan, makes this little triangle. So check out how tiny this triangle is, and this one's still 2 points. Lynn, have you ever calculated the points on the ones that you're making for your son? I don't know, this is awfully little. Let's see what it tastes like. It's gonna have to be pretty darn good for 2 points. It's really very good. It tastes like, it tastes like a barely sweetened, it tastes like a barely sweetened oatmeal chocolate chip cookie. This is really very good. Wasn't difficult to make. Again, you can make it in the oven. I made them in the air fryer. I don't know, 2 points, maybe. I could maybe do 2 points for one of these triangles. That's pretty good. Only problem is I would have to divide these up and give the other 15 away. I could give the other 15 away. So Donna wants to know why I couldn't use reconstituted PB2. I may try that. I totally may try that. It might not make that much difference, you know, since you're putting a banana in there. So Donna, that's a great idea. Might try that for next time. Sabrina wanted me to try the recipe that her husband had found online. So that is what even though she couldn't tell me the exact recipe, that is what we were trying tonight, but that is a great idea to try it with PB2. Obviously, I've got some of that because we were using it, last week or 2 weeks ago. And I'm also going to try it with this no sugar added Jif to see what it tastes like. But yeah, that's pretty good. This is pretty good. Okay, so now we got to kill 8 minutes of time because I took so long to put these next ones in. We may have to get it out and see what it tastes like. Just barely warmed up. Pretty good. 2 points is going to go super fast though. Okay, let me grab another spoon. And yeah, that's going to take a lot longer. So since I did not put these in anywhere near early enough, we're basically going to get some warmed up cookie dough for this. Smells really good. It smells like a chocolate chip cookie. And Lynn says, if she remembers correctly, when she first made them for her son, that it made 16 round balls and they were 2 to 3 points. If she remembers correctly, that sounds about right. You know, and for something quick, as long as I had somebody to share them with, because if I ate this whole thing, what would that be? 32 points? Yeah, I don't need to be making and eating 32 points worth of peanut butter chocolate chip oatmeal cookies. Okay, even though I did not let this one cook all the way, and it is obviously not cooled off, we are going to try this. What it smells like, and I actually like melty cookies. I have to say, this is the tiniest cookie. This is like a bite of the cookie. It's going to be maybe 3 bites that are this big, and it's 3 points if made according to these directions. Not super thrilled about that, so we'll definitely be trying to lighten this up. So Donna, yes, I think the PB2 reconstituted would be a great idea, but let's see what this tastes like. Of course, you should never take anything straight out of the air fryer and stick it in your mouth because it is 320 degrees. But let's see. Oh, the maple syrup. Wow, even the sugar-free maple syrup does really kick the sweetness up a notch. Well, see, Lena makes it with only banana and oats, no peanut butter, adding a few chocolate chips, and they're not bad. Okay, that's good to know. Lynn says they were really good. Okay, that's good. And you know, and since oats are 0 points now, good grief, how many points would these have been before oats were 0 points? How many points would they have been? I'm gonna have to go back and make sure that the recipe was calculating the oats at 0 points. So that's another good thing to go back and check. Let's see what it shows me in here. Zero. Okay, so 20 points of this, 26 points of this second recipe is the peanut butter. Wow. So yes, definitely going to be trying out those, the reconstituting the PB2. That's also pretty darn good. I don't know if it's 3 points good or not. So, Sabrina, thank you very much for requesting this. I will definitely be making the rest of these and taking them home to the girls so that they can eat them while I tweak and play with the recipe and try to figure out a way. I would love to get this down to, like, for those little cookies, the ones that are this big, I would love to get that down to 1 point. If that was a 1 point cookie, I think that would be perfect. The little wedges, the little triangles, which if you make them at home, they're going to be squares. I think that's a pretty good size for 2 points, so I'm pretty happy with how that one turned out. Again, that is a chocolate chip peanut butter banana oat bar, and that one is from Power Hungry. Oh, the other one is from Happy Hippie, I think is what it was called. I think that's a pretty good deal for 2 points. The little cookies, I'm not paying 3 points for those, so I'll keep working on that one and tweaking it for you. But I do appreciate Sabrina asking about that, or Sabrina offering that last week. Yeah, I'm always willing to try new things as long as it doesn't contain cottage cheese. Yeah. So outside of that, I will try just about anything. But we'll get this posted for you all. I hope you all will try something like this. If you've got a recipe that you would like for me to try or for me to try and lighten it up, let me know, and I'm happy to work on it. I'm happy to experiment with this and find a lighter way to make these because I do love me a good chocolate chip oatmeal cookie, so I'm willing to take one for the team and figure this out. Yeah, so as we get that figured out, we'll post it on IfYouHaveAnEgg.com as a newish recipe. When I do share this, I'll go ahead and share those Weight Watcher app links so that you don't have to go find the recipe and download it. But you all have a fantastic week. If you're watching this later on YouTube, it's just youtube.com, search If You Have an Egg. Go ahead and let that little next video roll over. I promise you will enjoy it. Go ahead and click on that subscribe button. Click the little bell so that you'll know when our next video comes up. And thank you again, everyone, for being here tonight. And Deanna, thank you again for stopping by to see me. It was so very nice to meet you. And Alyssa was super excited that she also got to meet you. Yeah, but y'all have a great week, and I will see you next time. Good night.